Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us on our weekly webinar training series. So, very, very important. I know I always start off these calls and I say the same thing, but I truly mean it because, everybody's so busy right now, especially. I feel like things are starting to normalize and open back up, not only in Florida and in our country, but throughout the world, the entire world. So obviously, this is a crazy, crazy time, and you all are here, right, wanting to learn, right, and expand marketing opportunities to get your name and brand out there. So kudos to all of you that are dialed in listening to the four of us today. So thank you for that, number one. I want to make sure that everybody walks away with nuggets as usual. So use your question box. There's a little pane. It's like a Q&A box. Use that as much or as little as you would like. But I want to make sure that we answer all of your questions, comments, all of the above. Okay. Also, take out a pen and paper or your notes app on your phone. I don't really care, but I want to make sure by Monday, after the long weekend and you're at the beach all weekend, you remember exactly what you learned on Thursday with Levinson. Okay, that's most important because after all, this is your time and your time is valuable. So, very important stuff here. We're going to learn a little bit about social media today, okay? And we brought in a social media expert. So we're very, very excited about this. And let me tell you just a few things before we jump in, because in fact, she has about a 40 to 45-minute presentation, and I want to make sure I can get everyone out of the room by 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And I also want to make time for our question of the day at the end, of course. So make sure you're paying attention. And again, use that notes app because what we're going to talk about is going to be in that question of the day. So whoever wins, Amazon Fire Tablet or Amazon Echo, you pick. But I wanted to just point out a few things before we dive in here. And, I know a lot of you know me pretty well on a business level and some on a personal level as well, which is great. Of course, we're going to get back to our expo, our live expo, hopefully the end of this year or early 22. But either way, we're going to see you real soon. I promise you that. We got to get back to normal here. But my point is, I'm a huge believer in social media. Okay, and like I said, if you know me, I'm always preaching this. I just think it is so important, and it's not just my opinion. This is what's going on, especially in this country today. So, in order to be relevant, right, you have to have your name and brand top of mind, right? And it's not rocket science. When you think about, my grandma right before she passed just a couple months ago, she had a Facebook account at 98 years old. Okay. She was in her nursing home and she was on Facebook chatting with her grandkids and the kids and her friends on Facebook. Okay. Even messaging each other back and forth. So the point is, these days, it doesn't matter if you're 17, 18 right out of high school, or 98 or 93, or maybe retirement age, whatever the case is, everybody is on social media. Everybody's eyeballs are glued to their smartphone, okay? Like it or not, okay? It doesn't matter. iPhone, tablet, desktop, whatever the case is, everybody's on social media. And the companies know this, okay? Not just our industry, but all industries, okay? We just did a podcast with Larry Zinn. They own the largest automobile dealership in the country, probably in the world, 800,000 square feet. And I was listening to the podcast last night. We did this about a year ago. But here's what's so interesting. So we said, all right, going back 20 years, how much of your business came from social media, online? It was like 4%. And then we said, okay, fast forward to today, which was a year ago, by the way. I said, how much of your business comes from social media now? Over 60%. Okay. And that's for the car industry. So now, a year later, we're going to do another podcast with Larry, but I can guarantee you that number through the pandemic and everything else is probably closer to 70 to 90%. Okay, so like it or not, you have to get comfortable. It doesn't matter what age group you're targeting. Everyone is on social media. Okay, so what we decided to do is we, in fact, this was years before the pandemic, put together an entire platform for you all so you can learn the basics and you don't have to be a Bill Gates and program your own website and edit your own videos. We did everything for you. We have this entire turnkey platform that was built just for this. Okay, we have daily trainings at 2 p.m. Eastern. Kevin, our programmer, hosts them just to get you comfortable with all of our technology. And again, you don't have to be a whiz to figure this out. At the very minimum, okay, this is what I would do, and you should write this down. And I don't care what age group you're in or how much or how little you know about computers. It doesn't make a difference. At the very minimum, okay, you need to have your professional looking website up with your quote engine. And by the way, we have all those tools, okay? You need to have, at the minimum, a Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram page up and running, okay? And at the very minimum, once a week, okay? And I'm going to tell all of you right now on record, once a week, you need to come up with some type of creative idea to brand and market yourself, your name, your company, okay? I have these Positive Tuesday quotes. You'll see it at the end. It means nothing. Positive Tuesday is just something that I made up because I wanted to show all of our agents that you don't have to listen to what we say. Watch what we do, right? Success leaves clues. So I come up with this cute little quote and picture every single Tuesday for the last 4 years, never missed one Tuesday. And it's not to get all of our agents excited to do business with Levinson and Associates. No, branding and marketing, yes, for Levinson and Associates, but I want all of you to learn from this and come up with your own little, could be a quote of the week. It could be maybe every single week you're going to come up, you'll pick a new product and talk about, IUL, GUL, term, return of premium, living benefits, whatever, annuities, LTC, DI, CI, the list goes on and on. You can sit at the dinner table tonight with your spouse, hold up a smartphone and record you, right? You have the gift to gab and you always knew you wanted to be on stage one day and in the movies. Well, great news. This is your one chance, right? So talk for 2 minutes about IUL or whatever the case is, and then get that video or clip or picture or quote out on your 3 social media platforms, on your website, blast it out every single week, right? And I'm telling you right now, if you do this, okay, it's not that you're going to see 3,000 likes in 1 hour. No, it takes time. It's building a business, right? It takes a lot of time. But if you get 1 or 2 likes from your Aunt Helen or your neighbor Harry, right? It's 2 more than you had the day before, okay? And if you keep doing it week after week, month after month, year after year, you're going to notice it's going to increase. And suddenly you're going to start to get maybe a message or a text or a phone call. Hey, I saw you talking about IUL on your YouTube channel, and I loved how you spoke about the return of premium feature that's built in. Can you tell me more? Next thing you know, you just got a new sale from these crazy 2-minute videos that you do at the dinner table every Tuesday night with your spouse, okay? That's the way it works, okay? And it's not difficult nowadays. And here's why. I'm not just sitting here preaching to you all because I want you to buy my program for $99 a month and you can sign here. No. In fact, we're not selling anything. Okay, I'm trying to help you all. When you win, you write more premium, we win. Okay, it's not a gray area. That's just the way it works. So obviously, we want you to be successful. So here's the proof in the pudding. Just think about this, and then I'm going to stop ranting. So when we started, okay, I started 22 years ago. We were the first IMO to have a website, first IMO to develop the first e-application with iPipeline, the first to launch e-policy delivery with a company called Applify. So we were a first in a lot of different areas, okay? And there's a reason for that. I had the vision. I saw this coming. I saw what was happening in other industries. So here we are, 22 years ago, came out with the first website, and we had about 120 agents, mainly in South Florida, that my father, Kerry, had relationships with, okay? Great. So I'm learning the business, and I say to myself, you know what? We need to build a website. We need to start collecting email addresses. We need to build out a social media page, Okay, years and years ago it was MySpace, and then Facebook came on heavily, and then LinkedIn and Instagram and everything else. And we did exactly that. So our focus 15 to 20 years ago was build this great website, right? Start e-blasting and dripping on our agents, right? Create these social media pages and post at least once a week, come up with something creative. And little by little, we went from 150 or 120 agents to over 20,000 agents today in every city in the US, okay? And it's not because I'm so handsome or I know the most about life insurance. No, no. It's because of one reason. It's discipline. And it's constantly innovating and changing with the times and doing this over and over and over and over. It works. I promise you. You know, we have so many competitors out there at your level, at our level, at the Pacific Life level. Okay, we all have competitors. So we have to be different, be unique, use your personality and get out there. Okay, if it's working in Knoxville, Tennessee, why can't it work in Arizona, in California, in Jersey, in Connecticut, in the Key West? Okay, why not? Why not? Right? 5 people in your neighborhood loved you and they loved your services. Why can't that be 50 or 500 or 5,000? Right? It's not you're not just a rock star in Coral Springs. You could be the rock star in the whole country, right? You just have to get your name and brand out there. So not just 5 people will love you, but 500 people are going to believe in you and refer you business and think of you every time insurance comes up in a conversation. They'll remember Bill Levinson, okay, the insurance guy, okay? So I'm just giving you an example. So the stuff works. Okay, enough of my ranting. Let's jump right in here. So the first slide here is thinking about, being online, having this online presence, branding, marketing. How do you get your message out there, right? And be different because you don't want to be like everybody else. So Insure Me Now Direct, huge. So the left side, think Amazon for insurance. As you know, we have 5 different carriers now, over 15 products. And all you do is market this link, right? Client goes on your link or page. They run a quote, they apply, they get an instant approval, they print their policy or save it, done. Okay, the whole process takes 8 minutes. In the past, we had one product that was expensive. Now, no. Now we have very, very competitive products. Okay, there's no more small print. So this is a great opportunity. We're launching our new Bestow product on our platform in 2 weeks. There's no commission reduction, comes with free scholarship, all of the above. Your client can run a quote up to 1.5 million, apply, get approved, save their policy 8 minutes or less. I would take that website or link, which is your own, and I would market that all over the place. Okay. In fact, this could be your Wacky Wednesday, a quote or video that you're going to get out there. Okay. Talk about the new type of life insurance, right? So you have to get scrappy. You have to start thinking like this. Anyway, you're going to see this launched in a couple weeks. By the way, it's available now, but in 2 weeks, it'll be part of Insure Me Now Direct. So if you have your site up and running, we'll be able to load this in there for you in the back office. Our social media contest, okay, is on the bottom left corner. Very simple. All you have to do is like at least 2 of our social media pages, okay, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Like a post, okay, and share a comment, write an app, $250 Amazon gift card this month. That's simple. Those are the pages under it. And by the way, like I said already once, I'm saying it again, don't listen to what I'm saying. Watch what we do. See that contest that we just introduced? You should be doing that for your own social media pages, okay? Just try to get the concept here. It's not that difficult. On the right side, this is our 50th anniversary, okay, at Levinson and Associates. We're very excited about this, a little token of our appreciation. Write an app this month. It doesn't matter, life, annuity, CI, cancer, DI, whatever it is, you get a $50 gift card to celebrate the 50th anniversary here at Levinson. And I really want to take a second to thank you all, because without every person on this call this wouldn't have happened. So thank you for trusting and believing in us over the years. Bottom right corner, this is our brand new lead program. I've never seen anything like it. No, it's not just your typical final expense that everybody's marketing on Facebook, okay? And you don't sign here and get a 22% commission. No, this is the real deal. This is final expense or term life leads, okay? It's a co-op price starting at just 12 bucks, and you get a 20% guarantee on your leads. That's term or final expense. So this is hot, new. We launched it a week ago. I hope you give this a shot, and it doesn't matter what part of the industry you're working, because you can pivot, and these could lead to monster IUL sales. So don't just think of it like, hey, it's a small term policy, okay? It's up to you to pivot once the client's interested. Okay, let's move forward here. We're going to jump into our feature presentation. We have our LinkedIn marketing expert, Gabriella from Pacific Life. She's got some great stuff to share. We're delighted to have her join us today. Gabriella, thank you for taking the time.
Of course. Thank you so much, Bill. That was a wonderful introduction. I think you really hit on some of the points of why social media is so important. So I am excited to connect with everyone on the line here today to really dive into LinkedIn and talk about exactly some of these areas that you mentioned, right, from the profile, from the content and lead generation, on how we should be approaching all of this on LinkedIn. So before we kick off here, I do just have a quick disclosure to share with you all to make sure I keep my compliance team happy. And that is that the information presented in this training is for educational purposes only. We do ask that producers double check with their compliance and our broker dealer before using the information presented, as you might have some additional guidelines to abide by. So with that, we can go ahead and jump straight into Bill's profile. Thanks again, Bill, for letting us use your profile for today's training. We're really going to go ahead and dive into the profile as a whole, talk about some of the optimization areas that you can look at in Bill's profile or just in general that we can attack. And then from there, we'll dive into some content, right? Really talk about the content equation, what you should be sharing on LinkedIn and how you should be sharing it. And then from there, we'll jump into a quick lead generation search on LinkedIn and really talk about the roadmap to engage leads on the platform. So we'll go ahead and jump straight into Bill's background banner, which is this area that you're seeing here, 2017's fastest growing life and annuity IMO. This is really something that I recommend, utilizing this area in the same way. Here, Bill has really gone for that branding angle, right? Branding is a huge thing of his here on the social media platforms. So really approaching it from that same level, right? Making sure that you are having branding for your own firm, perhaps, leveraging things like keywords of yours. I have a quick example here to pull up and share with you all of a gentleman who does this really well and really leverages keywords into his profile background banner so that as soon as folks land on his profile here, they are able to see exactly what he is all about, right? So if we take a look here at Pete's profile as it's loading, we can see his background banner, right? You see right off the bat, he's into insurance franchising, and these are some of those keywords that really entice his audience. So making sure that you leverage something similar, right? Like I said, Bill's example here is great. Or if you can't necessarily, create something that has text in it, maybe that's becoming a little bit complex for you, leveraging something that still shows elements of yourself, right? So perhaps personalizing it to something like your skyline of where you're currently located, perhaps the skyline of your hometown, or even an alma mater campus, right? If you've got a really nice looking campus, using that as that background banner. So making sure that that's one of the first points we hit there, right? From there, we take a jump into the headshot, really making sure that you catch an eye with this headshot, right? So right off the bat, I'm already really intrigued into Bill's profile. What's the gloves all about, right? Industry disruptor. I'd be curious to click into this profile and learn more. So making sure that you are doing something similar, whether you're catching someone's eye in the same way that Bill is doing here, or just making sure that you do have an approachable face, right? Making sure you're sticking to bright colors, that you're not using these dark colors that drown out your audience from coming into the profile. So if we look over here on the right hand side, right, we see some other great examples like Chasen here or Michael here, right? These are some really great ones in terms of the colors that they are using. Bright catches our eyes immediately. But if we do hop on over here to Kara, right, we do see that hers is kind of on the darker side. This is probably the angle that we'd want to avoid, right? That darker sort of tint or hue on your image. So making sure that you are keeping that to bright colors and that you're looking approachable on there. From there, we jump into the first big section. This is one of the areas that folks will see before they actually come into your profile, and that is the headline area, which is this area that I'm highlighting right here. Bill here, he's got some great call to actions on where else you can follow him. I do recommend that you, when you are looking at your personal headline in this sense, that you do take your audience in mind first and foremost, right? So if you're seeing right here, I've got pulled up a quick little sort of fill in the blanks type sentence. I recommend jotting that one down to kind of help you, help inspire you into how you should be really crafting that headline, right? So something along the lines of, I help my target audience achieve their goal by providing X product or X service. Again, making sure that we hit our target audience first and foremost, as they're the ones who will be reading this out on the LinkedIn platform. And we want to make sure we catch their attention right off the bat. So with that, we can jump into this about section, which is the next big area that kind of ties a little bit to that headline area, right? Making sure that we are leveraging, again, that same sentence in some ways, that we are calling out our audiences as much as possible, and that you are getting niche if you have to with your audience, right? If you need to single out your audience by a specific, demographic type or something that really helps define that audience, that's going to be best. The saying here on LinkedIn is, if you try and be everything to everyone, you will be nothing to no one. So you definitely want to make sure that you're calling out your audience directly so that they know you are speaking to them. From there, in the about section, you also want to make sure that you are honing in on some of your accolades, right? This is important. Why is it that they should go with you? Why should they do business with you, right? This is going to be the second paragraph we hit in our about section. But again, first and foremost comes our audience and defining them so they know we're speaking to them. From there, in that about section, you want to make sure that you are hitting in on as many keywords as you can that relate back again to that audience, right? So if your emphasis is around estate planning, you want to make sure that that is easily readable throughout your profile with any of the keywords that might tie back to estate planning, right? So making sure that you've got those keywords present, not only in your about section, but you also want to make sure they are present in your experience, right? So your current experience and any of your previous experiences, if you could leverage their description sections to also jot down these keywords, that is also recommended. And then also making them present here in your skills, right? So the reason behind this is that LinkedIn is an index platform. And what that means is that every single time a search is conducted on the platform or on a search engine, the algorithm is going to crawl every single profile for those keywords. So the more that you have these keywords present on your profile, the higher you will appear in that search, right? And so we want to make sure you are appearing on page 1 of the search and that you are also appearing above the fold. So folks don't have to scroll down too far to really get access to your profile. And how we go about that, right, is really making sure that we embed these keywords throughout our profiles as much as possible. So again, leveraging keywords in about, description, and your skills and endorsements. From there, I'm going to jump into Pete's profile here for just a second to show you all this featured area here on the profile. This is a somewhat new sort of field that LinkedIn released, I'd say probably in the last year, and has really kind of been pushing it, right? So folks can have this featured on their profile. So if you are sharing content out on the LinkedIn platform, you are able to then pin that content back to your profile and feature it, right? So in this case, you're seeing John has shared all these YouTube videos that he's already shared out as his own posts. So making sure that you do something similar, and that maybe as you're sharing out those videos, right, you feature those back in to your profile. Creating a video that kind of does a full about you would be great, right? A great feature to the profile, or even something as simple as leaving your contact information in a way that folks can easily click into. Like say if you are leveraging Calendly, right, making sure that you also feature that Calendly information into your profile. From there, we can jump into the experience section. Like I said, the big push here is just going to be around keywords, right? Making sure that we leverage all of the description areas for our current experience and any previous experiences in, making sure that we are leveraging that area to enlist as many keywords as we can. And making sure that, again, you do list out some of those previous experiences in certain cases, especially when they apply to the industry, because this will kind of tie back to the lead generation area and how we can make some connections that have some similarities with us here on the platform. So making sure that you are listing out you know, those previous experiences, along with any education that you've got under your belt, right? Any schools that you attended, any certifications that kind of match along with education. And I even recommend sometimes folks go as far back as high school. And again, this is going to come into play with the lead generation portion of the tool, as you are able again to find some folks that may have those commonalities with you, like a similar high school, right? And that would be a great point of connection for you too. So making sure that you are listing out education. And one additional field within your profile that will also kind of help you in that same way is going to be your volunteer experience section. So if you are currently you know, virtually volunteering in your community, or perhaps you're back to, you know, sitting on a board of a nonprofit organization, or just volunteering live in your community, making sure that you are also dropping that back into your profile, as we do want to give a well-rounded view of who you are, right? A very business view, but still well-rounded view, where we can create the trust with some of these other elements that give a view into little tidbits of our life. With that, we go into skills and endorsements here, making sure that you are familiar with one of the features from within this skills area. One of the biggest things that comes up for our industry when I do these trainings is that folks don't necessarily like the endorsement portion of skills, right? Sometimes some compliance teams may not be the most lenient to having the term endorsement on our profile. So please know that you can turn this feature off of your profile or off of your skills, and just keep skills present on your account. And I'm going to go in here into our skills, or into my skills, just to show you really quickly what that toggle looks like, so that you can actually turn off those endorsements from your skills. That way, you know, your compliance team may be more lenient to having that skills and endorsements area present. So if you are on your skills, like you are seeing my skills here as I would be in an editing mode, right? You want to go ahead and click on that little pencil in the top right corner, and you'll see that at the bottom left here, we have now been given the option to adjust endorsement settings. So you can then go ahead and toggle that on and off to whether you want to be endorsed or not, and that will then remove the endorsement portion from you. Your profile from your skills. As you can see, mine reads only skills, right? And so if you turn it off, it'll read skills. If not, you'll keep that skills and endorsements. But the main emphasis of this area here is going to be around keywords, right? Again, honing in on those keywords that we create throughout our profile, so that that algorithm can pick up on them and know that, hey, we are the subject matter expert on these specific skills. So making sure that you do keep skills that are sort of more macro, right, for the industry. Something like life insurance, right, would be sort of a higher level keyword, and then breaking that down into some of the more granular keywords that can stem from that, right? So Index Universal Life would be a branch of life insurance. So making sure that we do have, you know, a wide range of that. I highly recommend coming back into Bill's profile. He's got some amazing ones listed out in here. So making sure that you know, leverage some of your industry connections or other folks who are already sort of influencers on the platform, like we can see Bill being here, you know, who has these great keywords already listed out on the profile. So that brings us to the last area here, which is really recommendations, right? If you are able to have the recommendations box listed on your profile, I highly recommend leveraging this area as sort of a reviews area, right? Sort of like how we'd see folks utilize Google reviews or a Yelp, right? Folks can't necessarily give you 5 stars here, but they can write something nice about the times that you work together. Perhaps it's a client, a current client, a past client, right? Or maybe it's just an industry contact that can vouch for your knowledge in the industry. So making sure that you do leverage this area here and receive some recommendations, as well as, you know, give out some recommendations to those industry folks who are also looking to grow their profile. That pretty much covers it when it comes to some of the items of the profile. But before we jump into content, I do want to quickly go into some settings that I think would be beneficial for you to know when it comes to, you know, just what folks can view on your profile. So really, we'll kick it off with this people also viewed bar right here on the right-hand side. Now this bar right here is great. This bar here actually is present on mobile all the way at the very bottom of your profile. If you're thinking, hey, I don't see it on mobile, it's all the way at the very end if you scroll all the way to the bottom. But this bar is great, right, if we're seeing folks within our sales cycle appear on here. So for Bill here, I do see Andrew is appearing on our people also viewed bar, which is great, right? We do want to be kicking over some traffic over to Andrew's profile as well, because he is part of Levinson and Associates. However, if we do start to see some folks that maybe are competitors of ours, or just folks that we don't necessarily want to, assign ourselves with here on LinkedIn, Joshua Jones here might count as, a competitor, right? We might want to remove that bar off instead from the profile to make sure that we're not really thinking of this, right? It's not something that's keeping us up at night. Hey, who's appearing on my bar this week? It's just something that you can toggle off of your profile. So I can show you that really quickly by going here into our settings and privacy under account. And once you are here, you are going to click into account preferences actually. And under account preferences, you will see the option of people also viewed. And you want to make sure that that reads no. That way that bar, the people also viewed bar, will not appear on your profile. From there, the second one that I do want to point out is your connections. So right now, Bill and I are second-degree connections. However, out of the box, LinkedIn's default is that your first-degree connections, so anyone that you are connected to on the platform, can actually go in and click into your connections list and view all of your connections. Now, this can be a little problematic if you're connecting with industry folks who may be, slight competitors to yours, or just folks who might be coming back in, right, and leveraging your pool of connections to say, hey, I know so-and-so, let's do business. So if you don't necessarily want them to kind of, do that with your bucket of connections here, you want to make sure that that is set on the back end. Under visibility, you can click again, so we're in the settings and privacy, right? Under visibility, under who can see your connections, you want to make sure that that reads to only you and not first degree, which is the default out of the box. The last one here that we're going to go into is really just going to be our URL. So we see Bill here has, personalized his URL to read B.I. Levinson, right? That's how we find him here on LinkedIn. So you can do the same and make sure that you tailor yours to something unique. I do recommend this, as if not, LinkedIn will just keep a string query of numbers and letters that they kind of assign to you right as soon as you sign up for the platform. So this one is a little bit kind of hidden in plain sight. It's not going to be in our account settings and privacy, nor will it be in this main area where we just covered content, right? It's actually going to be up here in the top right-hand corner where we read edit public profile and URL. So once we click up there, we are actually able to view our public profile settings. What this is showing is how our profile looks to the public. So how this looks to folks who are not signed into the LinkedIn platform. If someone is finding you through, say, maybe, your signature line, or perhaps just through a quick Google search, right? This is how their profile will look to them. Your profile will look to them. So making sure that you do take a look at some of these, elements on the right-hand side to see what you are showing to folks publicly and what you are keeping hidden until folks sign into the platform. But when it comes to editing our custom URL, you do click up here in the top right-hand corner. You want to go ahead and click on that little pencil, and that'll allow you to edit your, custom URL. You can have anywhere from 3 to 100 letters. Or numbers right after the IN dash. And I do recommend, making sure that you leverage your name along with your firm name, or perhaps it's a specific keyword that you want to be known for, right? So if estate planning is the name of your game, making sure that maybe we even include that into our URL. So with that, we are going to go ahead and jump into our activity here, or really talk about our content and the content equation on LinkedIn. How you should be sharing content out on the platform and how you should be engaging back with content on the platform. So we'll kick it off here first with the content that we are sharing, right? And so as Bill mentioned, sharing one post per week can really help kick us off, right? And start seeing the benefits of the LinkedIn platform. However, what LinkedIn does recommend is posting 3 to 4 times per week, right? So that is really their recommendation to maximize your content. However, if you are currently not sharing any content, I definitely recommend starting with 1 a week, right? Not going for the crazy 3 to 4. That sounds unsurmountable at some times. So really that 1 post per week will do it. However, there is a little bit of a lull period that you want to give yourself in between posts, right? So say maybe you're kind of gearing up to 2 posts per week or 3 posts per week. You do want to make sure you give yourself anywhere from 24 to 48 hours in between each post before you share another piece of post or another piece of content, right? This is really to train the algorithm to really digest the content that you are serving it up first and sending it to all of your audience, or as much of your audience as possible. Off the bat, LinkedIn does say that only 30% of your connections get to see every piece of content you share, right? So this number does increase as the post becomes more engaging, and some additional factors like hashtags really help out our posts as well. So when it comes to hashtags, I do recommend that we leverage no more than 3 hashtags per post. This is kind of a new sort of guide that LinkedIn has shared with folks. Other platforms, right, we are seeing, especially on like an Instagram platform, we're seeing folks leverage up to 30 posts or 30 hashtags, I'm sorry. That is how many they can share on that platform. And the algorithm sees that as something positive, right? On LinkedIn, sharing anything more than 3 will start dinging you negatively. So making sure that you are sharing just 3 hashtags, and that you also put a little bit of thought and research into these hashtags. So what I mean by that is that you can actually go into the search bar here and do a quick research on that hashtag that you're looking to leverage, right? So in this case, if we want to go ahead and search up estate planning, we can go ahead and type in hashtag estate planning, right? So the main thing here is that you do not want to click enter after you have typed it out. You want to make sure you select from the down, the list that you're seeing here, the down menu, and making sure that you select from that list instead. This, as you can see, has now created a hashtag feed for us. And what this does is it actually lets us look into the number of followers that these hashtags have, right? So 6,338 followers sounds like a pretty good pool of audience that I'd also like to tap into and share my message out to, right? So this is how our 30% grows, and we can share it to more than 30% of our audience. So making sure that you do come in here, right? Making sure that you drop in your hashtags that you're planning to use. I would create a list of say 6 to 9, right? That way you can kind of intermingle these in all of your posts, and that you've done some research on them so that you know these are active hashtags on LinkedIn. People are following them. They're going to be worth my while using, and they will actually give me more of an audience for my post, right? But back here into build activity, we do want to make sure that we are filling in from 3 buckets of the type of content that we are sharing, right? So the first bucket that we're going to pull from is what I call third-party articles. This is really anything from our industry that is being written by a third party, like a media site or source. I've got a pool of content sources here, right? I've created a quick little folder in my bookmarks bar. I highly recommend you doing the same. Mine is pretty extensive. I think, you know, keeping it to 5 to 10 sources is ideal. That way you can actively be checking back in on these sources, right? But something like worth.com, who really targets the affluent network, right? You can start sharing these types of articles that really serve as a piece of resource, a piece of educational content back for that audience, right? So that's really our first one. The second bucket that you're going to want to be pulling from is going to be what I call original content. So this is anything that your firm has created for clients. So really we're thinking of things like guides, brochures, checklists, anything that you can leverage that has, you know, your internal branding on it, but is still serving as a resource for that audience that you're targeting, right? And the key thing here is that you want to make sure that you do repurpose some of this content. So you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, we've got some guides, we've got checklists, but do we have enough to share 3 to 4 times a week, right? Not necessarily maybe to build a full social strategy off of. So that's really where repurposing and creating other media types to leverage that same content pieces comes into play, right? So making sure that if you've got a checklist that you're sharing, right? Maybe the first time around you just share that checklist as a link, but the second time around that you're going to share this checklist, you're going to make a quick 20 to 30-second video that says, hey, if you fit X, Y, and Z criteria, I've got a checklist for you. You've got to check it out. Let me know if you've got any questions. I'd love to connect. Super simple, right? We've created that. We were utilizing that same checklist that we've already shared, but just presenting it in a different format to our audience. Also alerting the algorithm that, hey, we are active, right? And we are utilizing different media types on LinkedIn. So making sure that you do leverage other media elements to represent some of these original content pieces that you might already have or are in the process of creating. And the last bucket here is really going to focus around what I call user-generated content. This is going to be the content that is the most similar to some of the other platforms that already exist out there, right? Like the Instagrams or Facebooks of the world, but we do want to make sure we keep a professional lens, as this is LinkedIn after all, right? So if perhaps you are spending Sunday with your family and friends at the beach, right? Maybe on Instagram, Facebook, this comes back as a Sunday fun day type post, right? You've shared it with all your friends and family there, but you can also leverage the same photo or post to show back on LinkedIn of how, hey, this is how I, rejuvenate myself for the next week. This is really what inspires me, keeps me motivated, making sure that you are pulling from those types of angles and really kind of showing this behind the scenes or a day in the life of yourself. The goal here with these posts, right, is really to create that trust that we would be building with folks if we were to be connecting with them one-on-one, right, in person, but also serves as really engaging content, right? That last bucket tends to be the most engaging for our audience. And so that will also trick the algorithm and let them know, hey, Bill is sharing this content that's getting a lot of likes. We're going to make sure that his next post, while it may not be, in that same bucket that we covered, is still going to get a good reach in terms of his audience. So making sure that you are kind of leveraging from those 3 buckets and utilizing hashtags, right, to make sure that we do get the max reach and views on these posts. The last key there too on, we covered hashtags, right? Yes, we did. The last key there really is going to be more around how you are interacting with your newsfeed, right? So this is really, we're looking at posts. This is what you're sharing here to the platform, but really under all activity, we can see how you are engaging back with your audience. So LinkedIn does pick up on this. They won't admit to this, but they are scoring us on the back end. So if you are coming on here with a microphone and sharing your message and saying, hey, I am here, I've got checklists and great resources, but you never actually engage back with your audience, right, with your connections, with your news feed, the algorithm is going to notice and say, we're not really going to, populate your content to as many of your network as possible because you are just, not actively participating on the platform. So you want to make sure that you do come back in here onto your news feed and that you engage with your news feed. Again, LinkedIn will not admit to this, but on the back end, we can see it as kind of a like equating to 3 points, but a comment equating more to 5 points, right? So if we are cut for time and we only have a little bit of time to spend on the platform, leaving a few genuine comments is going to be better than, just liking some posts around the platform. But make sure that you do engage with posts, very genuinely as possible, as this will create, it will kind of teach the algorithm the types of posts that you want to see, right? So not just going in there and liking everything and commenting on everything for the sake of getting that good algorithm juju, but more so liking and engaging with things genuinely to build that, newsfeed, that robust newsfeed for yourself of the things you want to see and the people you want to be in contact with. So that kind of breaks it down for us in terms of content. And really the last bar here, or last part that we're going to jump into, is going to look at lead generation on the platform. So how the system prefers to be talked to is through a terminology called Boolean searches. Any program engineers on the line would know what Boolean talk looks like, and that's really where we leverage keywords in between quotation marks, and we use the words and or to separate these keywords, right? So to do a quick example here, we will use our keyword of estate planning once more here, and then we'll use the word and to separate it, right? Because we want these folks to match the search that we're about to conduct. We want them to be estate planning focused, right? And we also want them to be in Florida. So making sure, again, see, I missed that there. I did not include my quotation marks. We want to make sure that we're telling them, we're telling the system, right? We are just looking for estate planning and we are just looking for Florida. So when we do this, what happens here is that the system will first ask us, well, what exactly would you like to look at? Is it people, posts, groups, companies? Tell me a little bit more, right? So for us, if we're looking and doing a lead gen search, we want to go into people. So now this is showing us folks who have estate planning somewhere on their profile, right? And who have the keyword Florida or are located in Florida as well, right? So to kick us off though, 22,000 is a little bit too high of a list. You might be thinking, hey, I can't go through 22,000 people. That sounds insane. That's way too many. So you want to make sure that you leverage filters to really wean down this list into actionable lists, right? And so this is where some of those elements that I recommended that you add to your profile, like volunteer experience and education, really come to play. But the first one we'll kick off with here is going to be our connections. So I highly recommend clicking into second to filter in, right? Filter in by second connections. And what this is going to do is now this is going to take that list of 22,000 and now this is 1,000, right? A lot more actionable, still a little large, but definitely a lot more actionable. And now what this is doing is that it's actually showing us folks who have a second degree connection to us. So what that means is that we have a connection in common on the platform. So if perhaps Bill here is the person that I want to be in contact with, right? I know for a fact that he is the lead that I want to be approaching here on LinkedIn. I may be able to reach out to Chris first and say, Chris, you know, I've got some great stuff to share with Bill for his business. I'd love to be put in contact with him. Any chance you can do a warm introduction for us, right? So now we're kind of not necessarily even doing it through the LinkedIn system. It is more just kind of like a referral in some ways that you're getting, right? But you're kind of doing some of that back end research to see, well, who exactly can refer me to them. One of the points here too that's recommended is that you may actually offer to ghostwrite that introduction, right? Or offer some talking points for that introduction so that it doesn't become a job for Chris here, right? It's not something that we're putting on Chris's plate that now Chris has got to do. It's really something that we're saying here, you know, please just introduce us. We've done as much of the work as possible, much of the heavy lifting. So that's really the second filter, right? But from there, this really comes into play with previous companies, right? So if you share similar experiences with folks, maybe you worked at a company together in some sorts. The same goes for school, right? So we can do one here quickly with my alma mater. If I were to pull up Chapman University, here we go, and we do the same search. That list of 22,000 has now weaned down to 9, right? Way more actionable of a list. I now know for a fact I can jot down all 9 of these folks, right? And I know that what I'll have in common with them is that we attended Chapman. So I may reach out to any of them and say, hey, go Panthers. I love connecting with Chapman alumni like yourself here on the platform. So really being able to leverage, you know, the different filters in that way. Now I've got some quick little slides here to close us off of really how we engage these folks once we found them, right? We've done the searches, we know exactly who it is that we want to be chatting with. How do we actually go about engaging these folks, right? So some of these commands here that you'll read are a little bit tied to the Sales Navigator platform, but you can do all of this just organically through LinkedIn as well. If you were to save the lead, right, making sure that you do save the lead in the same way that we saw that we would do here is say Brian is our ideal lead, right? We can go ahead and copy that URL profile, add it to a notepad, and now we've got him saved, right? So that is really how we go about saving. We talked about checking for introduction opportunities using that second filter. From there, we go into thoroughly research their profile for some sort of icebreaker, right? Insight, common ground. We know for a fact here that we've got Chapman University in common, so we've already done some of this thoroughly research of the profile. Now from here, this is one of the most important steps because we want to make sure you're not wasting time on LinkedIn, right? And that is that you want to make sure that this person is actually active on the LinkedIn platform. It is no good for you reaching out to folks who are not actually coming back in here, right? Who've just got their presence set up really well, but maybe are not actually going to respond to a message or engage with your content or be a good connection of yours, right? So making sure that you do come back in here and look under activity. You can click into folks' activity. You do not need to be connected with them to view their activity. And in here, you are able to see 2 levels of activity, right? All of Brian's activity, which is what Brian is engaging with. We know that, hey, Brian has liked something that was posted 3 days ago, so seems like he's pretty active, right? And we can also take a look at Brian's posts. When's the last time he actually shared a piece of content? It looks like the last time around was 1 month ago. So I would say that Brian is someone who is fairly active on the platform, right? He's engaging with things just 3 days ago, posting no more than a month ago. So that I would say that he is a candidate for worth pursuing here on LinkedIn. From there, the last 2 you really want to look into is really going to be something like making sure that the timing is appropriate, right? Is this the right time to be reaching out to them? Are there any specific elements of, perhaps a new role that they've taken on, or perhaps any trigger events that may come from their company, right? Making sure that we do go back in here. And once we are on Brian's profile, we can actually click back into his own company's profile, right? And look at the company themselves, look into any news that the company may have. LinkedIn will highlight all of this once we're actually on the profile for Simplicity. So in here, right, it's going into Simplicity, and it'll show us just any of the relevant info, right? Making sure we're going through page posts, just making sure that we are touching base on the appropriate timing. The last bit here is really going to be to monitor their activity and softly engage on their content, right? So this is really just creating a little bit of muscle memory for them. You're not necessarily going to go directly to Brian and say, hey, Brian, I'd love to connect. We're Chapman alumni. You want to create, again, a little bit of muscle memory there to just let Brian know that, hey, I'm doing a little bit of research about you, right? I'd love to know more about you. And how we go about that is we go into his activity. Fortunately, Brian has shared something a month ago. So this usually works with folks who have shared something, I'd say no more than 2 months ago. And from there, what you do is you go in and you start liking some of their content, right? Leaving a quick like, adding a quick comment, nothing too crazy, right? We don't want to seem stalkerish in any way, but just making sure that we do leave a little bit of muscle memory so that they start getting notifications that triggers into their profile that says, Gabriela Ceballos liked your post. And now Brian might be thinking, okay, Gabriela, okay, does that name, do I know that name right? Where does that come from? Really being able to kind of create that muscle memory so that when we send that connection request or actually send an email or a message to him, right? Brian is a little bit more aware, okay, I've seen this name before. This isn't something brand new to me. That really kind of finishes it off here with this impactful email structure, right? This is really just a view at how you would then go about reaching out to someone through a message on the platform, making sure that you are hitting these 4 main buckets, right? An icebreaker, insider challenge, an intro, and then that final call to action. Each of these sections, we kind of talked a little bit about, how that fits into you. Your icebreaker, we really did some research on the profile, right? Insider challenge, we talked about our audiences through our profile. So that's really where we pull some of that. Our intro, right? Talking about ourselves. Why is it that we are the men or women for the job? And then that call to action. In this example here, the call to action, in my opinion, is a little bit too strong. Setting a meeting for someone, right, Tuesday at 2 p.m. might be a little bit too, strong for that first message. I recommend instead leaving something like an article here that says, hey, folks in your role tend to find this article interesting. I'd really love to get your thoughts on it, right? That creates a little bit more conversation and allows for that connection and relationship to continue to be developed. That is pretty much the lowdown on all those 3 parts. I'm curious if we've got any questions.
Yeah, you know what we did, Gabriela, we have a closed line because of the number of attendees, but if you can use your Q&A box there, and then we can also get Gabriela back on a call if needed. I know that was a lot of information. That's why I said take out your pen and paper. And we're also going to send this link out in our thank you email, so you can go back and watch it as fast or slow as you would like. Okay, is there anything else, Gabriela, you want to leave the group with?
No, that is pretty much it. Really appreciate you guys having me on here.
Well, we appreciate you, and we appreciate the support from Pacific Life as well. And with that said, there's a new update to their smooth sailing underwriting program that we are, in fact, the first IMO to even talk about. We're going to give you a little hint of it next Thursday at 3 o'clock. So Carlin's going to be on with us from Pacific Life. That's going to be another big one. I want to thank Gabriela, you for taking the time and sharing it with us today. There were some great tips here. Let me also add, she was talking about LinkedIn here. And, yes, Facebook is a little different, and Instagram is a little different, and Twitter is a little different. But at the end of the day, it's the same mindset, right? It's the same exact strategy. Okay, it's like riding a 3-wheel bicycle or a 2-wheel bicycle. Okay, it's the same thing. We're trying to pedal and move forward. So get your name out there. Reach out to could be colleagues. It could be networking groups. Maybe anyone that graduated Piper High School '93. You can do a search in city, school, all of the above. And these are ways that you can, again, brand and market you as the local life insurance guru, right? So you are top of mind. That's the name of the game here. Okay, so real quick, Andrew's going to shift gears. We're going to show you what we have available on our site that you can leverage. We have a lot of this stuff already built for you. Okay, Andrew?
Yep, thanks so much, Bill. Appreciate that. Great presentation by Gabriella. I want to go over real quickly what resources you have access to at Levinson Associates. And as Bill mentioned, we spend a lot of time putting this stuff together, spending the resources to make it worthwhile for you all. So the first thing I want to talk about is our social media tip of the month. You can get that under the marketing tab of our website. You'll see I highlighted it in yellow. And we post one thing every single month, whether that's a strategy, an idea, a tip, a trick, a post, something that you can use. Just as Gabriella was talking about, you need relevant content and ideas to post on your page on a consistent basis. So we actually provide you that concept on a monthly basis. So you have access to that at no cost, of course. We're doing all the work and coming up with unique ideas for you to market. Also, I want to go over our social media platforms. If you're a busy individual, you sell a lot of business, and you say, Bill, Andrew, I love what you guys are doing. I just don't have the time to sit there and post and do what you're saying. That's okay. We have an automated social media campaign platform available for you on the left-hand side. It's only $59.99. That's our co-op price. We have a dedicated account manager who will literally post for you every single week on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, okay, consistently. All right, so that keeps going until you say to stop. They also do elite websites and other customization services. They do, tuning up your sites. They'll help you with all the tinkering that we were just going over. So, if that's something that you're interested in, let us know. We're going to put the links for this in our thank you email later today so you can get signed up for it. On the right-hand side is if you want a dedicated ads manager, somebody who actually you can hire to create ads on these pages. That's where we can come in and introduce you to our ad specialist. So talk to us about that as well. We'll have that for you as well in the thank you email. Real quick, I just want to go over, generating your own leads, right? We talk about that using social media as a lead generator, and that's the truth, right? We know that to be a fact. So we actually have a social media coaching service. Okay, you can actually get trained by an expert in the field to show you how to place an effective ad, how to run it, how long to run it, what type of content you should be putting, and they'll record that session for you so you can revisit that and watch it as many times as you want. That's a very useful service that you should take advantage of. And on the right-hand side, I just wanted to show you guys some examples of posts that we've developed. We've done this already. We're posting on the Facebook page for Insure Me Now Direct. Every week we have new images, different things that we do, talking about points in the industry, family protection, term, final expense. We're always trying to throw something out there to show you guys how to better market. So leverage what we do. Use these images on your page. You can co-brand these if you'd like. They're fully compliant and ready to go. So I just wanted to show you that you can use right away. I'm going to get it over to Bill. We have some hot new updates to our co-branding center and some new incentives. Bill, you there?
Yes, thank you, Andrew. So real quick, these are pre-made videos, marketing pieces that we built for you to post. It takes about 2.5 seconds. We have 3 co-branded videos that are already compliant, approved. They're about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so there's a total of 3. You send us your picture, logo, and we embed your information into the video. It costs you 0. Okay, so take advantage of this. We also have marketing flyers that you can post. You can use in your CRM tool. If you're using our system, great. If you're using your own Constant Contact, that's great too, as long as you get your name out there. So run with this stuff, very important. All right, let's go to the next slide, the Bill Levinson Experience podcast. So Gary Vaynerchuk, he is the king when it comes to social media. Anyway, long story short, I sat down with Gary for an hour and I basically said, Gary, put your life insurance agent hat on. And if you were an agent this day and age, tell me what you would do to market and brand yourself online and on social media. So anyway, I picked his brain. I want you all to listen to his messages. They're amazing. We're going to include this link to the Bill Levinson Experience in today's thank you email. I encourage you all to check it out. And he literally is the king when it comes to this stuff. So it doesn't get any better than that. Okay, upcoming agent training events. By the way, we're just about done, about 30 seconds. This is our agency automator platform. If you want the free website, the free CRM tool, if you want to start using AsureWorks, SEO work, whatever the case is, every day of the week we pick a different platform. Kevin, our programmer, hosts these. It's an open forum, gives you a chance to ask questions and dive in and get comfortable. Okay, just know enough to be dangerous. So you can jump on the agent training calendar on our website. You can see what's coming up for the week or for the month. On the bottom there, top priced non-med plans to $2 million with no telephone interview. That's huge. That's a game changer. Okay, make sure you're on that call 3 p.m. on the 13th. And then on the bottom, top annuity sales strategies with a new FIA. We brought in a special guest speaker on the 20th at 3 p.m. Okay, we're going to wrap up here and we're going to do our question of the day. Also, I'm going to give you another quick tip. If you want to see, maybe you have no idea what other successful life insurance agents, what they're marketing, what does their profile picture look like? You can literally just go in your search bar. Okay, I'll give you an example on Instagram, right? If you go to the search button and you put in life insurance and then you put in top posts, it will show you whose pictures or quotes are getting the most likes and comments, okay? And literally in less than a minute, you can see the top 10 agents and what they're posting about and what is their message and quote, and look at all of the leads that come in under with comments. Hey, that was amazing. That became a new lead that you can reach out to, send a message to. So anyway, the opportunities are endless once you get comfortable, I promise you. And by the way, there's nothing wrong. If you look at another competing agent's, profile page and you get some ideas, there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's business. I'm not saying copy what they're doing, but there's nothing wrong with getting some clever ideas from what other successful agents are doing, okay? That's what I would do if I was out there today. There's no secret behind that. All right, let's end with our Positive Tuesday quote and our question of the day. Now, take a look. You can see bottom left corner, I have my hashtag, selfless. On the right side, that is my @ sign, so they know, Billy Levinson, that's how you can find me, and that's my signature. When people forget about themselves, they usually do something everyone else remembers, okay? Selfless on this Thursday. Very, very important. I hope you got a lot of nuggets out of this. We're going to ask our question of the day. Make sure your little fingers are on your keyboard and you are ready. It's a two-part question. Okay, question is, how many co-branded videos do we make available for you all? Okay, and what is the price? It's a co-op discounted rate. So how many co-op videos do we have available that are for Levinson agents? Okay, and tell me the price of the videos. What do we charge you? Andrew, do we have a winner?
We do have a winner. It is Vikram U. Vikram,
congratulations. The answer is 3 co-branded videos available, and they're free. Trick question. Have a great Thursday, a great week, great selling, and thanks again for taking the time. Just jump in, start somewhere. I can't encourage you enough. This stuff works. Have a great day, and thanks again.